So at this point, allow me to welcome on board Ms. Gloria Wawira, who is the CEO of the National Youth Council.
Thank you, Arnold and friends and colleagues. I've seen very many familiar faces here, and it's my pleasure to join you this afternoon. I don't know if you can hear me well.
We can hear you clearly. Well, karibu sana.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you. First, let me begin by thanking the partners here present in organizing this webinar. Indeed, the conversation around the Pact of the Future is timely and relevant, even as we gear up to wrapping up the SDG goals and look into the future. It's both an honor and a profound responsibility to join you this afternoon. This convening, ladies and gentlemen, does not only acknowledge the promise of the future, but entrusts us with the realization for every generation, most especially its youth. At this juncture, let me begin by reiterating that we as the young people of this country have the largest stake in the success of this country, but also in our commitments globally as citizens of the world and members of the Global Coalition of Nations. On behalf of the National Youth Council, and we are a state agency under the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, and we are mandated to amplify youth voices. Allow me to thank the champions for SDG, the SDG Kenya's Forum, the UN, the Office of the UN Resident Coordinator, International Economic Partnerships, and the Frameworks Coordination Directorate, and the Kenya UNESCO Youth Coalition for this timely initiative. The Pact of the Future, as has been said here, calls upon all nations and sectors to recommit to multilateralism and sustainable development. Global solidarity, and the very idea that the future is not distant and abstract, but a shared responsibility. This webinar, therefore, is a platform for intergenerational co-creation, a space where ideas are exchanged, perspectives are elevated, and pathways forged together towards the implementation of the pact, as well as the sustainable development goals. I can see a few people joining. As we unpack the relationship between the Pact of the Future and the SDGs, one truth becomes increasingly evident. We, the young people, are not passive beneficiaries of development, but as we are strategic actors and local implementers of our global commitments. I think at this point, let me pause by saying one of the speakers before me spoke about translating global commitments into real and local action. I think what is most important in this conversation and in the role of young people is that we continue to contribute meaningfully in small and impactful ways in our localities. For example, Champions for Youth SDGs by this webinar and many other young people across Kenya and the continent at large who are doing meaningful work towards the attainment of our global commitment. The pact explicitly calls for investment in youth and the creation of mechanisms for meaningful participation at all levels. These commitments resonate with the mandate of the National Youth Council, which exists to ensure that the voices and aspirations of Kenya's youth are not only heard, but acted upon. This conversation in particular comes at a pivotal time. In just a few months, the 6th edition of the Africa Youth SDG Summit will be hosted here in Kenya by the National Youth Council in collaboration with partners. The council will host the summit from 4th to 7th November 2025 under the theme Reimagining Africa through Youth-Driven Solutions. The summit offers a platform for young people to co-create solutions, shape discourse, and influence policy for a more sustainable and inclusive Africa. Today's dialogue, therefore, is one of many foundational conversations and precursors to laying the groundwork for the bold youth-driven vision that the Africa Youth SDG Summit seeks to achieve. To realize this vision, however, the support and partnership of all actors is indispensable. In this spirit, I invite all stakeholders and development partners, public institutions, private sector actors, civil societies to recognize youth not only as a demographic, but also as essential partners of implementing interventions. At this juncture, let me call on us all to recommit ourselves to creating enabling ecosystems for youth-led solutions where they can thrive, where intergenerational collaboration becomes the norm and not the exception. Through respectful dialogue and co-creation, as well as mutual accountability, we can move forward from intent to impact. In conclusion, allow me to affirm that the future we seek is not constructed through high-level declarations alone, but through grounded action, driven by the energy, creativity, and commitment of young people across our local communities. The Pact for the Future is a blueprint for youth, and we the youth are its builders. Let us walk with us, let us walk with youth, let us invest in youth, let us trust youth to lead. The needs and interests of the present and future generations call for all stakeholders to work together. And I think the outcome here is to work together, not leave anyone behind. As I conclude, allow me to say that the National Youth Council remains to continue committed to being a platform where we amplify youth voices, where we champion and support young people who are doing meaningful work in their local communities. And that's why we are so glad to join this dialogue today and to add our voice in support for conversations, youth-led conversations around the SDGs as well as the Pact of the Future. I look forward to fruitful and meaningful conversations, and I thank you. Good afternoon.